Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator, and today we are checking out third-party aircraft as they start coming into quote-unquote availability in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Today we're going to be starting out with the Milviz Cessna 310. I'm going to be going through a full experience with you guys as well as talking about what does and does not work as we go through these, so that way you guys can decide which aircraft you may want to purchase if you don't have them already, or which aircraft you want to deal with migrating over. So stick around. If you are interested in acquiring any of my overkills tutorial guides from Microsoft Flight Simulator, or simply interested in supporting the channel, please consider joining us on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future releases that come down the road. Patreon link can be found in the description below.
Overkill simulations, watch us as we fly.
Alright guys, so as I said, my purpose of these particular videos as I'm going to go through these is A, to show some things that have changed. Like I know, for example, people have had a lot of trouble starting the TBM 930 and the Longitude, so we're going to go through that process in a couple of these videos. We're also going to talk about things like this being the first aircraft from third party that I'm testing out, which is the Cessna 310 from Milviz, or Blackbird Simulations, depending on how you remember them. So with this aircraft, for example, I've already noticed something that is a problem and will probably steer you way off it in the beginning, but it's actually not. It's just depending on what you're doing. So, for example, if we go outside, step out of the aircraft with Shift and C for Charlie. Helps if I'm clicked in the cockpit. Do not worry about adjusting your cameras or your monitors, folks. What you are seeing here is exactly what is happening to me. And it is only in the external view. So I don't know what's busted about it, what they can do about it. But if you hit Shift C again, once you get back inside the seat, you're fine. Everything works great. Okay? So keep that in mind. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the aircraft up for a quick flight and just sort of go around the area. We are going to be in the Pimax Crystal Light, although you guys are seeing everything in 2D right now. In 2D, it's absolutely flawless. Frames are perfect. No issues whatsoever. So we're going to see what everything looks like once we get up and going here. So let's go ahead and we're just going to go through a very crude startup here and just get us out of here. So there's battery, alternator. Let's get both of our mixtures and our props to full. And let's see what else we got here. Let's do our nav lights, anti-collision lights, letting everyone know we're getting ready to start the engine. And I think that's all I need for this one. So let's go ahead and turn on the magnetos. We'll start with the right engine. Let's see here, right engine, left and right. And let's see here, we've already got everything else up and running. So let's crack the throttle one at a time. There we go. Flip it over to the right start. Good start on one, or I guess that would be two technically. Alright, left and right magnetos for the left engine. Go to the left side, crack the throttle. Good starts. Let's hook them up. Avionics masters. So we'll see. Let's see if it's just a matter of turning things on. This is obviously, you guys can see the old radio stack. Okay, it works. Maybe it is on. Are we exchanging frequency? Oh, we are. Interesting. So it looks like they're not linked to the avionics switch anymore, though. So if I flip the switch off, the only one that turned off was the autopilot. Everything else is still up and running. Avionics master back on. Autopilot comes to life. Still no transponder. So that's a bug. Alright, well, is what it is. Okay, and the instruments are pretty dim. Lighting doesn't seem to function at all. Making sure I'm not missing anything. It's been a while since I've flown the 310, so I'm just trying to make sure that I do my due diligence and I'm being fair here. Okay. So that is what it is. Okay. Let's go for a flight. So I'm going to switch over into the Pimax Crystal now. The Crystal Light. Absolutely flawless. Frames are perfect. No issues whatsoever. So we're going to see what everything looks like once we get up and going here. So let's go ahead and we're just going to go through a very crude startup here and just get us out of here. So there's battery, alternator. Let's get both of our mixtures and our props to full. And let's see what else we got here. Let's do our nav lights, anti-collision lights, letting everyone know we're getting ready to start the engine. And I think that's all I need for this one. So let's go ahead and turn on the magnetos. We'll start with the right engine. Let's see here, right engine, left and right. And let's see here, we've already got everything else up and running. So let's crack the throttle one at a time. There we go. Flip it over to the right start. Good start on one, or I guess that would be two technically. All right, left and right magnetos for the left engine. Go to left side, crack the throttle. Good starts. Let's hook them up. Avionics masters. So we'll see. See if it's just a matter of turning things on. This is obviously, you guys can see the old radio stack. Okay, it works. Maybe it is on. Are we actually changing frequency? Oh, we are. Interesting. So it looks like they're not linked to the avionics switch anymore, though. So if I flip the switch off, the only one that turned off was the autopilot. Everything else is still up and running. Avionics master back on. Autopilot comes to life. Still no transponder. So that's a bug. Alright. Well, is what it is. Okay. And the instruments are pretty dim. Lighting doesn't seem to function at all. Making sure I'm not missing anything. It's been a while since I've flown the 310, so I'm just trying to make sure that I do my due diligence and I'm being fair here. Okay. So that is what it is. Okay, let's go for a flight. So I'm going to switch over into the Pimax Crystal now, the Crystal Light. Alright, so it dawned on me that the airport that I had picked was way too small for this aircraft. So we moved over to the Caribbean. Parking brakes released. The radio panels, as you guys, I don't know, well actually you guys probably can see them. I will say they're very hard. Now here's the thing I'll trip out about. Notice the transponder's on. When I switched over to Princess Juliana, I did a hot start. So I'm kind of curious if we had done the auto start, I'm willing to bet everything would have came on. And as far as I can tell, everything is set up the same way I had it, so I'm not sure what the difference was. Let's roll. Airspeed alive. We're flying. Gear up. We're holding about 62 frames per second in this aircraft over here right now. 65. Smart smoothing is on inside of the Pimax software on the Crystal Light, but I do not believe it is on inside the sim. So let's go ahead and take a peek, because I know many of you will be wondering about that. It might be. I just saw some... Nope. Oh wait, wrong one. Let's go to graphics. There we go. We are using DLSS. So let's come up. You know what? I don't want to change that. This isn't DLSS, but I get pretty close to about the same. I will tell you guys that. I get about... DLSS gives me about 15 frames per second. I did a whole video on that a couple days ago, if you guys look through my stuff. On my VR settings. I did a comparison between using TAA in VR as well as DLSS. And the performance is pretty comparable. Okay, now that's interesting. I'd love to know when those settings got turned back on, because I had turned that off. Oh, no, cancel. Let's see here. What is that? Assistances? Crash damage, everything else on. ATC. Okay, there's a bug. ATC is literally turned off. Unless that's... Hang on. Well, I could have sworn I turned them off. We'll leave it running for now. But no, I'm not gonna respond to you. I don't have anything set up for you, bud. I don't ever use the in-game ATC. It's just, I played around with it a little bit the first day we got it just to see if there was really any difference. And, I mean, okay, it would be unfair to say nothing's been done, but it just wasn't worth riding home to me. You know what I mean? Bro, no. I will always say there's no comparison in flight simulation to flying in VR. It really is the make or break it. So far, a couple weird issues. Like, I'm going to be blunt. The two instruments down there where the FPS is hopefully over, I can't see them. Looks like the engine display panels. Fine, be quiet. Any of the radio panels, I can't read at all. I can't see them at all. And the brightness didn't seem to work. Although we could try that again now that I'm thinking about it. If I can remember where my mouse is. The joys of VR. Wow, I just realized when I did that, we lost the transponder. There it is. So all lights up, and the transponder is the only one that we can see. That's a drag. But the frame rate out here is gorgeous. Like, I can't complain about that, man. And this is a really fun aircraft, too. That's the other thing that's really... I hope that they get it patched up and working correctly, because, like, this is not quite where it should be. You know what I mean? So I had to adjust my headset a little bit. I bumped it. It does look beautiful out here, though. The sounds are good. I'm gonna get down low. I love the new water, I will say that as well. The new water is fantastic. So, long story short, if you're willing to deal with the couple of nuances that we've seen so far, and the aircraft is absolutely flyable, all of your analog gauges work, So, I mean, it's not like you can't monitor your engine performance. The roads and houses in these areas that they've cleaned up are a major game changer. The trees are a major game changer. It'll be nice when I remember they said in the press release after Sedona that they were planning on buying eventually the whole globe. They had to purchase these scenery locations. So the goal is to get everywhere that they can. So autopilot would be pretty hard to use right now unless you really paid attention to what you were doing. Because again, you can't see the gauge or can't see the screen. At least in virtual reality, the way I have the current lighting. But so some of that could probably be adjusted, to be fair. But I mean, it really comes back to how much work do you want to put into to make it work, right? The way you want. The window scratches and the fingerprints all over them. I don't know that I like all those goofy textures. I don't think that's something that should have just been implemented globally. I think it should have been up to the developer, and it seems like it's something that happens on aircraft where they're not supposed to be there. So that part's kind of annoying. There she is. The infamous approach. For those of you who may not know, this is the infamous St. Bart's 1-0 and 2-8. Looks like winds are for a 1-0 approach. Well, let's try it. Choppy and messed up, but we're going to do it. Flap's starting to come down. Pulling the power off. Manifold pressure. level out a bit. The flight dynamics of these aircraft has definitely changed in 2024. I will say that I find them to be at least the third-party aircraft that I've tried so far, and I've got a couple others that I'm going to be showing you guys as the next coming days. There's definitely an improvement. There's a massive improvement. There's big changes in the way they feel and the way they handle. Flaps already full. Whoa. Prop to full. Manifold pressure back. Right in that approach speed. Miss it, miss it, miss it. Okay. Ooh. That is probably the best landing I've ever had at this freaking runway. I don't even care if that was good or not. It at least felt good for once. I feel like the slip worked out pretty well right there. So anyways, guys, that is the Blackbird Simulation Cessna 310. So far, working pretty darn well. A couple weird issues. Again, outside of VR, I will say the radio panels are legible. I'm not quite sure why the transponder didn't work when I started the aircraft, but when we did a hot start on the runway, it did. So a couple little minor things, but as far as being flyable and functional, the answer is yes. And if you guys are interested or already own it, I would highly recommend giving it a shot. It flies very, very nicely. Very, very true is what it feels. And definitely worth the gander. So as always, guys, stay safe and healthy. Stay tuned for the next one where we go over another aircraft. And have a good, happy Thanksgiving if you don't see my videos again before then. Take it easy, guys.